Okay, class. So today we are going to be going over the various types of bowings that you'll be using in the place in many of the pieces that you will be playing. Some of them now, and some of them that you might be using in the future um, of your playing. So bowings, using different bowings is important for many reasons. Um, Especially for us strings players, that's kind of one of the main ways um, that we are able to show different forms of expression in our playing. Um, Obviously, we know, like, if you think about a brass player or if you think about a percussionist, for a brass player, they're able to change the way of how they articulate their mouth with the armature to be able to create different tonalities. Um, and same thing goes for a woodwind player where they can change the armature of their mouth, um, where how they place their mouth, the cavity in their mouth to create different sounds. And the same thing goes for a percussionist, so where they can use different mallets to create different timbres with the instruments that they are playing. So in that, there are five main bowings that we are going to be going over today. Some of you might know some of them, some of you may not. So the first bowing that we're going to be going over is legato bowing. So legato bowing is among probably the most common forms of bowings that you'll use in your playing. A legato has a very smooth and has a very nice sound to it. Um, it is most commonly used when you are going to be slurring notes um, across melodies. The next, along with legato, this one is the second most common. It's spizzicato bowing. Um, Actually, my bad. Pizzicato bowing. Pizzicato bowing. Um, you will use this a lot. And it is where you don't use the bow and you play with your hands and you just pluck notes on the fingerboard. With that, pizzicato has a very nice and playful sound to it and doesn't put out as much volume compared to the other forms of bowing. The next is going to be um, spizzicato bowing. Spizzicato bowing is a little bit has a more form of a bouncier sound to it, and it can be used in some faster passages that you will have to play instead of digging into trying to play hard and be loud. You can use some more spizzicato bowing to do a faster, lighter type of way of getting through notes. Second the next one is going to be staccato bowing. In staccato bowing, this is like spizzicato, but not as much of where you are going to not really be bouncing, but you're playing more harder um, on your strings to get a more kind of punchier, warmer sound out of them. And the last form of bowing that we are going to be talking about is tremolo. Tremolo is not used too much, but when it is very crucial in what in the music that you play, um, and it kind of can give off many feels. It kind of can give off this spooky and uncertain feel to it. So right now we're going to be I'm going to be showing you guys some videos of all these various types of bowings. So let me see. Okay. So for this first video that we have, this is from uh, Benjamin Britten's Simple Symphony Number 2, Playful Pizzicato. So,
introducing the most comprehensive.
and from the name of it, this piece exemplifies pizzicato, bowing, and plucking. Okay. So from that, you're able to see kind of the difference in sound and articulation that not only are you getting from these instruments, but you're also getting kind of this different sound and feel from the piece. Obviously, it's named playful pizzicato, so you kind of get that sound, but or you can hear that, you can see that from the name of the piece, but you also get the sound and you get the feeling of it being kind of playful. Um, and that's not the only way that pizzicato is used, but many times that is how it is used. So the next we'll be talking about is legato bowing. So this comes from Mahler's Fifth Symphony in the fourth movement of Adagietto. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And this really, I think this is one of the few orchestral pieces or movements of a piece that really shows some of the smooth and expressivity that you can get through a legato bowing. So yeah, let's just take a listen to it. Beautiful. I mean, you can see it through the camera is just moving around. That many other people have just this very light, just a very intentional, smooth legato sound through all the moving lines in the melody of this piece. Just beautiful. Next, we will be moving on to, this is Beethoven's. So this comes from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, and this is in his second movement, Molto Vivace. And this exemplifies a nice spizzicato bowing. And like I was mentioning earlier, I think this is important through many times of when you're going to have to be playing faster passages that are not supposed to be so loud, but it's more important to be playing the notes, making sure you're getting the notes, and not, it's what that's the most important thing with spezzicato, that you're able to play the notes not as loud, not as fast, and through that it's easier to get through some faster passages of when you are playing. Okay, so here we go. So, as seen in the video, uh, you can physically see that a lot of that through this very, very intentional and technically difficult melodic line in the beginning of the second movement, that they are physically bouncing this bow to create a kind of a spizzicato sound to the notes. It's very intentional and very difficult to do well. So now, for the last, in this last video, we're going to be going over kind of that this exemplifies the two falling bowings. So in the beginning, this is the beginning of Mahler's Second Symphony. This has a very unique and kind of iconic beginning in the symphony. We're going to see the first violins come in with a tremolo. You're going to hear it and following that, we're going to hear kind of through all of the rest of the strings and the low strings as well, that they come in with a very kind of abrupt and stern melody that is kind of heard throughout a lot of this first movement, and that is going to exemplify staccato bowing as well. So let's take a look and let's listen. Cool. So through this, let me stop my sharing. Cool. So through this, in all of these examples, these were orchestral examples of the different bowings that are used. And I think it's just so important for us to understand the implications of why, when things are written, of why we use them, and why the importance that they truly hold. So now, let's go over them in a more technical way so that we can understand and get a full grasp of these forms of bowings. So first we're going to talk about is legato bowing. So legato bowing is going to have a nice smooth and legato sense to it, where all the notes are going to be nice and connected, not where there's going to be nice and connected sound between all of the notes. So I'm going to show and I'm going to exemplify for you guys first. Okay. Next is going to be pizzicato. So this is going to have a nice and bouncy sound to it. Now, next is going to be spizzicato, which is going to have a more bouncy sound to it. And with this one, you are going to physically, what's different with this one is that you're going to physically work on bouncing your bow on your string. So many times you're going to just want to work on you don't want to be necessarily like dropping your bow, but you want to be able to find a balance point on your bow. Many of the times, the balance point or for spizzicato is going to be kind of a little bit not towards the middle of your bow, but if you can kind of go a little where past the frog in this area right here, this is going to be a good spot to be able to bounce your bow for spizzicato. So it's just if you just down, up, down, up, down, up, and that's spizzicato. So for the scale, it's just going to be down. There you go. Now, moving on to staccato. Staccato is a little bit. It's more. It's not exactly like spizzicato, but it's where are now just you're a little bit more abrupt on the strings. You're a little bit more into them, but you're not really hard, I guess, in the strings. So this is staccato. Then staccato is just. So with staccato, you should be able just to put your bow on the strings with just a little bit, just the pressure of your hands, and be able to move your hand back and forth. I think the only pressure you should be putting on the strings is just the weight of your hand. So let's try this one more time. That was a little bit more of a legato sound to it, but let's try that one more time. Sounds a little bit better. And then lastly, tremolo. Tremolo can be a little bit of a challenge to know exactly how to do it. So with tremolo, one of the easier to do tremolo, the easiest way is you either, if you're going to be doing it for a longer passage of time, my teacher says that you can do tremolo right here. But I think for a little bit, it's best to be able to do it kind of more towards the tip of your bow because you are able to control the volume that you're going to be doing it at. So all you're going to be doing is that you're going to be holding your bow. You're going to be just going to be at the tip, or you're going to be kind of in this little kind of third or fourth area of the bow, and it's just going to be you're going to be focusing on kind of having not too many hairs, and all that's going to be you're just going to be moving your wrist, and that's all, So, and if you can see all my wrist, that's all I'm doing with my wrist. You don't want to have too much of your forearm, just wrist. Okay? Alright. We're going to just go through this scale. Nice. Right on. So, check my time. Perfect. So, through these bowings, I hope you guys were able to understand the importance of these bowings. Um, as we saw in the first piece with the Britain's playful pizzicato, that is just one interpretation of pizzicato. Pizzicato is used in many other different forms, but most commonly in some of the music that you'll be playing, pizzicato is meant to give out a more playful sound. Through that, it's important to have and embody that emotion that comes with a certain type of bowing. And as we move on to the second example, which was our Mahler piece, legato, I feel like with that piece, it really did accentuate the smooth legato sound that we can have, and that's so important in certain pieces. And you will have many, many pieces that have that, especially if you have a solo melody in your section. It is just so important to have a smooth sound to be able to have this melody that just goes beyond, the harmony. Um, and through that you can just create just something really unique and special. And when it comes to um, spizzicato is very important because there will be many pieces that you're playing that to have that spizzicato sound of bouncing your bow on the string through kind of some faster passages. It will help and it gives a lighter, um, almost playful, but not as much sound, not as playful as pizzicato, but it does give a lively and playful sound to the melody or the counter melody that you'll be playing. And then staccato, um, can almost kind of invoke an emotion of kind of like anger, and where you're getting yourself in there and you want people to know who you are. So it is important that when you're doing staccato to know that you're putting a little bit more weight on the string, but not as much, just as much as the weight of your hand, and you're creating a more abrupt square sound. And then in tremolo can be absolutely tricky, but it is absolutely essential. In any part that tremolo is written in, it is essential, and it is important to have the invoke the emotion of kind of maybe being a little uncertain, maybe creating um, some uncertainty through what you're playing. Um, and through that, you will be able to invoke emotion that's absolutely essential to what you are doing. Okay, well, I think that is it for the lesson today. I hope this helped a lot. And you guys have a great day.